Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cody and today I will be doing the 2022 NRL season review of the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders finished in 8th place this year, playing a total of 26 games, scoring 30 points with 15 wins and 11 losses. The Raiders scored 524 points in the regular season, adding on the 32 points they scored in their finals campaign, comes to a total of 556 for the season. While they conceded 461 points in the regular season, adding on the 60 points they conceded in the two finals games, comes to a total of 521 points conceded for the season. The Raiders' points differential in the regular season was a positive 63, counting with the finals comes to a total of a positive 35. The Raiders' home record for this year was 8 wins and 4 losses. The away record in the regular season was 6 wins and 6 losses. Adding on the 2 away games in the final series comes to 7 wins and 7 losses for the season, while the Raiders managed to win 4 of their last 5 games of the regular season between rounds 21 and 25. The Raiders started off very well in round 1 with a close win over the Cronulla Sharks down at GIO Stadium, winning 24-19 before getting flogged by the North Queensland Cowboys at Queensland Country Bank Stadium 26-6 in round 2, before beating the Gold Coast Titans by 2 points at GIO Stadium in round 3 24-22. The Raiders would go on to lose their next 5 games in a row between rounds 4 and 8, starting off with a loss against the Manly Sea Eagles, losing 25-6 at Glen Willow Oval in Mudgee, losing to one of their arch rivals, the Melbourne Storm, in Wagga Wagga at McDonald's Park, losing 30-16 in round 5, for losing to the Cowboys once again, this time by 6 points, losing 18-12 at GIO Stadium, getting flogged by the Penrith Panthers at Bluebet Stadium 36-6 in round 7, before going to lose by 1 point in a good game against the Warriors, losing 21-20 in round 8 at Moreton Daily Stadium. The Raiders' season turned around a bit as they will go on to win their next 3 in a row, starting off against the Bulldogs in round 9, beating them 14-4 down there at GIO Stadium, before beating the Sharks once again, this time 30 points to 10 at Suncorp Stadium during Magic Round, before going on to beat the South Sydney Rabbitohs, my team, 32-12 at Apex Oval in the West in Dubbo. After their round 11 win against the Rabbitohs, the Raiders will go up and down for the next couple of rounds as they will lose to the Parramatta Eels in a close game 28-20 down there at GIO Stadium, before bouncing back to shockingly beat the Roosters 22-16 at GIO Stadium in round 13. In round 14, they just lost to the Brisbane Broncos, losing 24-18 up there in Brisbane, before bouncing back to beat the Newcastle Knights by 2 points in a close game at GIO Stadium, winning 20-18 in round 15. In round 16, they will lose by 2 points, this time against the Sir George Illawarra Dragons at Wynn Stadium down there in Wollongong in round 16, before round 17 they had the bye. After having the bye in round 17, the Raiders would go on to lose only one more game for the season before the finals. So in round 18, they would beat the Melbourne Storm down there in Amy Park, winning 20-16, before going on to beat the Warriors at GIO Stadium, winning 26-14. In round 20, they will beat the Gold Coast Titans at Cbus Super Stadium, winning 36-24. In round 21, they were demolished by the Panthers again, this time 26-6 at GIO Stadium, for bouncing back to beat the Dragons by 2 points, winning 24-22 in round 22 at GIO Stadium, before just beating the Newcastle Knights by 6 points at McDonald Jones Stadium, winning 28-22. And in their final home game for the season, they would demolish the Manly Sea Eagles, winning 48-6 in round 24. For going on to pretty much screw over the West Tigers once again, as they were demolished week or two beforehand, flogging the West Tigers 56-10 at Leichhardt Oval to finish their regular season. And then in the first week of the finals, they would shockingly upset the Melbourne Storm, even though they'd already beaten them a couple of weeks beforehand, beating them 28-20 down there at Melbourne at Amy Park, eliminating the Melbourne Storm from the final series in the first week since 2014, as from 2015 onwards, they always had made the preliminary final or the grand final. And then in the Raiders' final game of the year against the Parramatta Eels in week 2 of the finals at CommBank Stadium, very disappointing as they were flogged by the Eels, losing 40 points to 4. Now, going through the best wins for the Raiders for this year, I reckon their first good win was against the Rabbitohs in round 11, as they beat them 32-12 in Dubbo. Also upsetting the Roosters, winning 22-16. That was a surprising result for the Raiders. Beating the Storm twice. The first one round 18, 2016, and then also winning 28-20 in the first week of the finals. Now, the second game, the week 1 finals game was probably the better one, as they eliminated Melbourne from the final series since 2015, like I said beforehand, or 2014, sorry, because they exit the finals in 2014 in the first week. And then that 2 of their biggest wins of the year has to go to round 24 and round 25, beating Manly by 42 points, 48-6, and then in the last round of the season, flogging the West Tigers 56-10. The Tigers were beaten 72-6 against the Roosters a week or two beforehand. That just shows how useless the West Tigers were this year and how dominant the Canberra Raiders were going towards the back end of the season. Now, some of the Raiders' worst losses, I reckon the 2 games against the Panthers, 26-6, and then the other game 36-6, they were 2 of their biggest losses for the year. But their worst loss of the 2022 season has to be in the week 2 of the final series, as they were demolished by the Eels 40-4. Now, they didn't show up for that game. Everyone anticipated the Raiders to win, as with the Eels' history, they only would make it only the first or second week of the final since 2017. Or 2018 for the 2019 for the Eagles. My apologies. It's between 2016 and 19. It's one of those years when it started. But I reckon that was the biggest loss for the Raiders, as they exit the final series and looking to do better in 2023. The Raiders' top point scorer for 2022 went to Jamal. Was one of their latest signing, probably the best signing of the year, Jamal Fogarty, who scored a total of 116 points in 15 games, as he missed a chunk of the some of the early part of the season. And the top try scorers for the 2022 season for the Raiders, there's 2 of them. First one went to Hudson Young, the second rower or back rower, who scored 14 tries, and also Sebastian Chris, who's the centre, who also scored 14 tries. Now, going through the signings of the Canberra Raiders for 2023 for the players who have signed with the club or gone to other clubs. Now, as of the 16th of December, the Raiders have only signed 2 players, and they are Fasali Solo from the Newcastle Knights and Danny Levi from the Huddersfield Giants from the Super League up there in the UK. And then they have lost 6 players for 2023, and they are Adam Elliott to the Newcastle Knights, Josh Hodgson to the Parramatta Eels, Charles Nicole Clockestar, if I butchered that name incorrect, I'm sorry, to the New Zealand Warriors, Harry Rushton to the Huddersfield Giants, Ryan Sutton to the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, and then Sam Williams to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos. Now, overall, how did the Raiders perform this year? Now, shockingly, the Raiders made the top 8 only because Brisbane decided to flatter out towards the back end of the season. They were all cocky and think they can make the grand final, make the finals, my apologies, this year. And get what happened? They would go on to lose their last 4 games of the last 4 out of 5 games for the year. But luckily for the Raiders, they only lost 1 game towards the back end of the season from round 18 onwards. And they managed to finish 8th place. Congrats to them. Now, just for that, I'm going to give them a 7.5 out of 10. Now that may be a bit high considering I gave a lot lower winning percentage for other top 8 teams. I believe the Roosters and Rabbitohs. Correct me if I'm wrong. But 7.5 making the top 8 and making it to second week of the finals from 8th spot. That's good. And upsetting the Melbourne twice in this year. Raiders have a good record in Melbourne. I believe they're the only team that have more than 50% winning record at Amy Park or down in Melbourne in general. But overall, Raiders did very well this year. Before I get into the team performance, I'll go through the players. I have to give it to Sebastian Kris, the centre, and Hudson Young. Especially Hudson Young, scoring like 3 tries in one or 2 games this year. That's unbelievable from a second rower. Or if you played from the bench a couple of times. That's a rare thing to see. Just like Jamana Nanai from the Cowboys. That's just unbelievable. And Sebastian Kris played very well this year. Unfortunately, Jared Croker, as he's getting a bit older, went down with injury and he only played a couple games this year. He's hoping he'll be back in time for 2023 to play his 300 game. I believe he's got about 5 or 6 games to do that, or 8 games. If he stays healthy, he's always been a great player for the Raiders. Been their main goal kicker. But unfortunate injuries with his shoulder this year kept him out for most of the year. Jordan Rapana, Xavier Savage, all running over 200 plus meters on average per game. All playing well, but definitely Raiders' best player, in my opinion. Along with Jack Whiten. Jack Whiten played very well. He started from the bench in State of Origin Game 1, I believe, or Game 2, and then he came on the starting side in the following game. That was what New South Wales needed. And on the field with the Raiders, playing as dominant. I think this was his best season since 2020 or 2019, as they made the grand final 2019. But Jack Whiten, awesome as always. And the best player on hand had to go with Jamal Fogarty, their latest signing. Now, I think it's a bit stupid that the Titans let go of Jamal Fogarty towards the end of last year. It's all started this year. That's a bit stupid. And Raiders were very fortunate to have him. Unfortunately, he was out for about almost half the season at the start of the season, as he was out with a serious injury. But as soon as he came in, dominated the halves along with Jack Whiten whenever that he was on not playing Origin. They brought the Raiders dominant victories towards the back end of the season. But overall, all the Raiders players, they all played very well this year. Now, in regards with next year, I believe the Raiders will be a contender for the top 8, not a top 4. But I reckon they'll finish like between 7th to 10th, roughly. I know, yeah, in my predictions video, I had them in like 11th or 10th, I believe. That's only because everyone's mainly wanting the Raiders to get out of the 8, as they said, they claim the top 8 will be pretty much the same. I disagree. I think it's going to change a bit, although it's going to be one of the more complex top 8s that's going to that will be happening in recent years. But overall, great season for the Raiders. I hope Raiders do perform well next year. But if they don't make the 8, it'll be a surprise. Ricky Stewart, funny as always, when he blows up on the press conferences. The one that happened between the Raiders and Panthers, that was over a decade ago. That was ridiculous. But anyways, everyone, that will come towards the end of the 2022 NRL season review of the Canberra Raiders. Great season. Expect good things from them next year. Now, the next video I will be doing will be the rounds 1 to 25 2022 custom ladders. I'll do every single one, and I'll have it uploaded in a couple hours. And then the next season review, which will be the final one for outside the top 8 will be the New Zealand Warriors, and then my last one will be the Penrith Panthers. I'll have them done before 2022 comes to an end. And there's also one or two more extra videos I will do. I'm just not sure what, but they will eventually come out before the end of before the year is done. And if you paid attention to my community post yesterday, I posted like how many subscribers and how many views I got for 2022. I just want to say thank you very much to every single person that has subscribed, supported my channel, and has been around this year. I'll get into more. I will do a video on a review of my channel 2022, just after January, and I'll put a community, and I will say in that video what will happen in 2023 in January and February, as I've already got video ideas planned, and what games I will note down what games I will go to most likely for next year as well. I will put that in a community post as well just after 2023 starts. But anyways, everyone, that will come towards the end. I will see each and every one of you in the next video. Let's get this channel to 600 subscribers. It's been a miracle this year. I'm just getting stoked of how this year was successful, but let's continue that. 1,000 subscribers is my main goal for next year. Hopefully we can reach it. But anyways, I'll see you each and one of you in the next video. Take care.